managed to resurface the whole X Division thing nicely with Kazarian and Daniels and Doug Williams, and a good match too, actually, with Doug Williams coming out on top. Surprisingly, I thought there was going to be a title change, but then again, the pay-per-view coming up, so.
Certainly, and Daniels looked quite strong. He rebuffed Kazarian's promo very well. Kazarian really tore it up on the mic. Kazarian is looking better and better, and certainly, like I think I mentioned it last week, I think Kazarian has got a real good spot as TNA gets more and more popular. He's now looking the part. He's got that physique, and he can cut a promo and work. He's a dream competitor, right?
Yeah, I don't think Kazarian needed the suicide gimmick to get over. He's a great worker and a good talent with good mic skills, and he is always fun to watch, and I think he can be taken seriously. I really do.
We're live now on justin.tv, and we've got a couple of viewers. Want to say hi to Gibbs67. He said Hogan and Flair's tag match was a disgrace and it was absolutely embarrassing. Certainly, it's something that we might talk about a bit later. We didn't feel it was the best in terms of matches, but certainly nice to see those two guys at least paired together, and perhaps it did draw. This is Wrestledope podcast. It's the Wrestling Radio podcast, and you can always check us out on Wrestledope.com. You can go to iTunes as well. If you don't have an iPod, Wrestledope.podomatic.com, and live here every Sunday on justin.tv in your wrestling section. Love the wrestling section on justin.tv.
Yeah, Justin all the way. We're big fans of Justin. Rock and roll.
This week, it's where I watched my TNA Impact fix. I couldn't watch it live over here in Ireland, but Justin, he helped me out. And, you know, at one point, I saw over 2,500 viewers on just one Justin.tv channel watching that Impact broadcast.
Yeah, we've no choice, I suppose. Without having the live Impact over here, we have to do our research and find other resources to get our fix. And, of course, we were going to watch it live, so... thank you, Justin, for sorting it out for us.
Indeed, and if you are listening on the podcast, do come over and check out justin.tv/Wrestledope. You'll find a lot of our stuff there. And I want to say hi to Firesoul86. He's from Scotland, I believe. And he's said that he thinks that it was the best match Hogan has had in 10 years. So there you go. Everyone has a different opinion. It's what makes wrestling fans so special and unique, is that we all have our own opinion, and largely you find that people will accept your opinion without getting too harsh and sort of breaking you down about it. But then everyone has a different idea of what they saw.
It's true. To the user, what was the user who said it was embarrassing?
That was Firesoul86. No, apparently it was Jib67, in fact.
I do agree with you. I think there were certain points where I watched and thought of people who would have watched maybe in the 80s and the 90s, long before the Attitude Era, even through the Attitude Era, through the original Monday Night Wars. And I think for anyone who hadn't watched the product in a long time, and if you were to just tune into Impact, you know, for the first time ever, and you've never seen the show, and you saw Hogan and Flair going at it, I can see that it is embarrassing, because I did think, you know, they're so past it. I mean, and Hogan, you know, he's not the greatest seller in the world, but it was, you know, physically to look at Flair and Hogan, you know, it is a little bit embarrassing. But again, they look what they've done for the show, in a sense, in the space of, you know, how many weeks are we in from January till now, from the first live Impact, and they're grabbing people's attention. They're grabbing mainstream in the States with Hogan on Fox News, and you know, I don't think TNA would have done that without those big names. And you know, yeah, they're past it, but at the end of the day, they're going to be the ones who will turn it around, and they know it's not going to be a big work schedule or whatever, but if they can get in the ring once every 2 months and just hype a pay-per-view, hype like the debut of the live Impact, all the better to them, and all the better for TNA in the long run, I think.
I certainly found myself, as I said at the beginning of the program, much more drawn to TNA's program. I had both of them on two different screens, and I really found myself ignoring Raw and thought to myself, perhaps I'll catch it later. But at the time, when Flair cut that incredible promo backstage after the match, at that point, the Raw broadcast had a Divas clusterfuck going on. So that was kind of not really my attention grabber in any way whatsoever. I wanted to watch Flair. Flair was wrestling, and that's something we all always want to see. Certainly much more than we'd like to see Eve, Kelly, Gail Kim up against Maurice, Katie Lee, and Alicia Fox.
Yeah, some hairy booking at a WWE. Obviously, I don't think they're too concerned, probably because they know they were going to trounce them in the ratings either way, without even, they can just deliver the same old thing, and without even thinking about it. And I think the rest of Raw, even speaks for itself. And one thing which was very surprising on Raw was the upcoming Wrestlemania match on Raw, with the tag match with Show Miz and John Morrison and R-Truth. Why? I know it ended in a bit of a mishmash or whatever, but again, what is the story with this team of John Morrison and R-Truth? It just puzzles me. That
you talked about it last week, and you brought up that point about that match between Show Miz and R-Truth and John Morrison, apparently still on for WrestleMania 26. But just like you said there, a bit of a run through on Raw this week. Maybe they're practicing, seeing if we buy that match, and perhaps maybe that will change now going forward.
Yeah, I think so. But again, it just shows, you got these unified tag titles, which for a start is messy in a sense, and then you have, so basically it's like the Intercontinental title as well. If you put Drew McIntyre in Money in the Bank, then there's no IC title match at Mania. You've got Miz with Show, that's no US title match, and then you've got the unified tag belts, which obviously don't mean much anyway, because the tag division is completely and utterly not in the best of shape. And what happens? Miz and Show go over and retain, hooray. Or then we have new tag or unified tag champs, R-Truth and John Morrison. I mean, come on, it's the most.
I personally didn't even notice how that match ended. You told us there it wasn't clean as such, but it was kind of a thing that they ended quite quickly. That's probably why I didn't catch the ending of that match. I was, again, still watching TNA.
Yeah, I just know the significance of it obviously didn't hit home with me, because I have no idea how it ended, and nor do I care, because it's just boring product.
And just a minute ago you mentioned about Doug Williams in a match. He retained. We heard something from Shannon Moore. Dixie Carter is now a backstage character. We're going to hear a bit more from her, and certainly she is getting involved a lot more. I noticed somebody got quite violent with her as well, so she's really getting down and dirty at the moment. Now, Lacey Von Erich is somebody I always like to see, and for obvious reasons. She can't work, but apparently she has now started doing a lot more training, so perhaps she'll get better. At that point, she'll be perfect package. But referring to the TNA knockouts, we know that the knockout division is suffering a little bit lately. They tend to be trying to find a balance between the girls that can work and the girls that are good looking, whereas we would perhaps prefer to see girls that can work, full stop. It's always nice to get that eye candy though. And this week we had the return of Sarita and Taylor. My reaction was the only reason they're here was to drop those belts. Yeah,
definitely. I like Taylor Wilde. She's cool. But yeah, you can see what they've done with that Live Impact. I'm sure they had a lot of things to get through and a lot to get over, and returns and debuts left, right and centre. But at least there was presence with all of them, and you know, I know they threw pretty much 6